All right, video number 5, moving from fear to love. Fear to love. The antithesis to fear is not courage, but the antithesis to fear is love. That's my opinion. I can argue it, and I'll fight for it, so engage in an argument with me about it. Anyway, so I woke up this morning and was reminded of why I wanted to create this course. I wanted to create this course for my future sons so they can have the best possible information in moving from a good man to a better man. Better men are great lovers, not just only of their wives and family, but also of their communities that they're actively engaged in. And even though we're in the uncertainty module, I want to take the opportunity to begin the conversation of what great, masterful, rich, and deep love looks like. But in order to do that, I need to dispel a myth. And the myth is this, that people fall in love. And the reason that I never want you to fall in love is that you can fall out of love. Never confuse seduction with love. Falling in love communicates that you have no choice. And those who have no choice are simply conditioned by their environment, right? You are powerful men. You are powerful men, and you have to understand that this is a choice, right? Because it drives me nuts when I see these guys getting in affairs in their marriages. Well, it just happened. I fell in love. It's just you made a choice. Own it, right? Please understand that I don't want you to confuse this with the value of limerence. We're going to talk about limerence in the next module. Limerence is a psychological term used to describe the cascade of hormones and emotions that take place when you feel deep connection with another person. Men who think they've fallen in love without choice are men who are more often influenced than they are influencers. So, what do we do with pain? Big question, I know. We've all experienced, everyone, both men and women, have experienced pain and will probably experience it again. From a very early age, just after we're born, we are given this primal mechanism to respond to pain. Babies cry at the stimulus of anything that isn't comforting to them. We learn as children that the stove is hot, so we stay away from the stimulus that creates pain in our lives. Humans generally have 3 reactions to pain, and they all have the same goal, and those 3 reactions are fight, flight, or freeze. And the goal of these 3 reactions to pain is distance and disconnection. To illustrate this, I'd like to share with you an excerpt out of a book. I normally don't do this, but the excerpt is so good, and it describes what many people experience growing up, that when I read it to others, it strikes a chord. And if you grew up with this, there is a tendency to want to repeat it in romantic relationships. So here we go. I'm going to read to you. Just hang in there. You can even close your eyes and just listen. Quote, unfortunately, many people grow up in relational cultures that used rattlesnake tools to deal with pain and the fear of pain, tools that control, manipulate, remove freedom, threaten, and withhold love. These are the tools of powerlessness. The message they instill is, it's my job to control you. If you don't let me control you, then I will introduce pain to teach you that lesson. I'm not talking about parents protecting their children from harm or introducing appropriate consequences for their choices in order to help them learn. I'm talking about parents who believe it's their job to make their children's choices and to punish them when they don't comply with their orders. They may have said, this is going to hurt you, then it's going to hurt me. But what their children learned was that if they didn't surrender control, the most powerful adult in their life would get mad, threaten, withhold love, and hurt them in some way. They learned that in any given relationship, only one person at a time gets to be powerful. And ultimately, they learn to believe the lie that drives and protects the cycle of fear, control, punishment, and disconnection in relationship. The lie that we can and should control other people. And this is from a book called Keeping Your Lovin'. Great book. And so you and I are going to have a conversation about the fear cycle versus the love cycle in a relationship. Many of you grew up in homes where fear was the dominant tone, and it will destroy your relationships or at least numb them out, devoid of vibrancy and thriving. We want relationships to be thriving. So some of you haven't been able to move past the uncertainty phase because your internal wiring of fear has entangled you a bit. I love to see people succeed. Please hear me when I tell you that I've seen people get unlocked and they become great lovers. So let me show you what the fear cycle looks like. Here's the fear cycle. Pain. You experience pain. You have fear because of that pain. The reaction is fight, flight, or freeze. And then if that is followed through on, then you have disconnection. When people encounter pain and become afraid, they react out of that pain. Most people assume in this state that they are in control and powerful, but in reality, they are allowing the stimulus of the environment to dictate their behavior. Let's go back to Jeremy and Allison. Jeremy's reaction to his uncertainty, which is a form of pain, was that he began to pull away. He began to disconnect. Allison began to notice that his texts and emails came less frequently. Jeremy was pulling away. And of the fight, flight, and freeze options, Jeremy was definitely fleeing from her, and she knew it, and the result was disconnection. The problem of making decisions when you're disconnected is that it doesn't leave room for either of you to create space to see if the relationship is worth pursuing. I personally believe that many relationships are very promising, but fail to get past this phase because of fear. In the fear cycle, when you know that you're reacting to stimulus that is bothering you, there is a question that you need to ask yourself. Is it her or me? And please take some time to sift out what is actually going on with your internal wiring. Don't ignore it. Remember our tips to becoming more self-aware in video number 3. Right? Tips from video number 3. Take an inventory of what you like about her and what you have challenges with. Realize that it's completely normal to evaluate before making a big decision. And number 3, invite your friends to speak into your life if there is potential for something great, right? So evaluate your reactions based on preferential differences or value differences from video number 4. Many of our reactions to stimulus are subconscious, meaning we react and don't know why or how we are reacting. Read through the example in the bonus section to determine if your reaction is based on her values or preferences. Remember, it's okay that you like different styles of ice cream, different types of ice cream. But if you got value differences, then that's a little bit more challenging. Now let's take a look at the love cycle, right? Love cycle is pain. Instead of fear, you have love. And then in the midst of love, you pursue and then you actually create connection. It's beautiful, right? When you approach pain with love, it's just awesome. And when you get two people to mutually do this, it's just, it's such a great thing. Similar to the fear cycle, both begin with pain, but the love cycle has a different outcome. In the fear cycle, Jeremy reacted with flight. He took off. You watch his reaction, his connections slowly fade. In such a way that Allison recognized that his behavior had changed. In the love cycle, by Jeremy taking the measure to step in and do a few small things for Allison in the midst of his questions, it allows him to create space and maintain the momentum that he'll need if he ends up taking the relationship to the exclusivity phase. Someone described love as the ability to connect. Love is not a feeling, love is a verb. To be more accurate, love is an adverb. Another author described love as wishing or desiring well-being for another. So when we look at the fear cycle versus the love cycle, all through the attraction phase and throughout the whole process of the relationship is the notion of doing whatever you need to do to build and create connection. And let me tell you, friends, that becoming a powerful man and doing whatever you need to do in order to build and create connection will make the most intimate parts of your relationship incredible, right? Guys, I want you to get a vision for what it looks like to be a masterful lover. A great man once said, "Imagine a life without fear, and that man is free." Free men are wildly attractive. A, you want to be attractive, get free. Let's take one more look at the love cycle in order to look at the beginning and the end goal. Right? Pain leads to love instead of fear, right? And then it's love, we have action, we have pursuit, and we have connection. Many men think it is the romantic gestures of flowers, special dinners, and getaway vacations that are a secret sauce to bonding and connection. I've got some news for you. All that stuff is just icing on the cake, and in some circumstances, simply a meager attempt to fix a broken relationship. There's an action that we will introduce in the commitment phase, right? In the exclusivity phase, the commitment phase, that will create such a deep bond and connection that all I'm going to say is that you will thank me later. If you want the goal of your relationship to be connection for the long haul, I have a secret. So I will see you in the next and last video of this module. You guys are rock stars. I will see you soon. Peace.